Hey guys, Cinema Figure here. I want to do something different with this channel. It's been a little while. I kind of dropped off on the content. I didn't kind of drop off on the content. I completely dropped off on the content because I really wanted to shoot content for you guys that can actually help you become better storytellers. So not just simply telling you how to write better screenplays or just food for thought, but I really want to expand this channel in a way where you can become better storytellers with visuals, actual cinematography, actual lighting, and things like that. So I'm going to try to move more in that direction as we move forward. But today, we're going to talk about how you can finally write that first draft. Everybody knows the hardest draft to write is the first draft because it's you taking what's in your head and putting on paper. You have to make all the words, the characters have to make sense. It's a lot of anxiety, it's a lot of fear. Is this worth my time? But if you're going to write this amazing screenplay, you have to write the first draft before you can write your final draft. It's so much easier to mold clay than it is to make clay. So here are some pertinent tips for getting that first draft done. So first, set a writing schedule. Every day you got to write 1 page, 2 pages, maybe 5 pages, whatever. But you need to have a writing schedule every single day. And quite frankly, I don't even think you should lean too hard on the outline because you can get caught up in the outlining limbo where you just outline and outline more characters and more locations, and you start just outlining and planning and brainstorming to the point where you never actually sit down and write the actual screenplay. So it's better to just dive in and give yourself a schedule. Every other day I'm going to write 5 pages. Every day I'm going to write 5 pages, 10 pages, 1 page, whatever. That way it actually allows you to get something done and work towards the final goal. Writing a first draft is great, but you need to write a first draft that's good enough for you to be able to use it for the second, third, or fourth draft. So I use 4 acts. So I use the first act, which is the setup and the inciting incident. Then the second act is them struggling in the new world, and then it goes to the midpoint twist, which is the middle of the story where they find what they want. The third act is where we figure out if that was a false victory or a false defeat in finding what they were looking for. And then we go into the climax where they face the highest point of tension. Act 4 is where they return to the normal world, and returning to the normal world change as a person. They get to resolve a lot of the problems they had in their initial setup. So the reason why I bring this up is that everything should have a cause and effect. That's what gets you on the right track for writing a solid first draft. Their setup should be in such a way that complements the inciting incident. The struggle of the new world in the second act should complement the midpoint twist. And the false victory, false defeat should complement the climax. The act 4, the return to the ordinary, should complement the resolution. Now, what I mean by complement is what you see in this setup, you should learn so much how you introduce the characters, how you, how the world, the flaws that you introduce to us should directly supplement, sort of help the impact and the intensity and the importance of the inciting incident. What we learned in the setup in Act 1 should really work very well, should work well with the inciting incident. So if it's a zombie movie, if you show in the setup that not only is this guy someone who is gravely afraid of death and doesn't like to, look danger in the face, and also he has a family, we understand now that when there's a zombie apocalypse that breaks out in the inciting incident, what effect that has on this person that you've shown us in the setup. If that makes any sense. And then going into Act 2, how they struggle in this world, and the zombie world, how they struggle in the zombie world, and how he runs around looking for survival. So now, and then going into Act 2, him running around, the zombies are everywhere, what trials and tribulations he goes through trying to survive in this zombie apocalypse should really complement and really be fulfilling when he finds what he's looking for, when he finds his family at the midpoint twist. That should be so fulfilling because we saw what he had to go through to get back to his family. So we respect him more, it pushes the story forward. It's a very cause and effect strategy for creating that first draft. Another thing for the first draft, and this is the third tip. Yeah, the third tip is know the story at its core. You don't have to know everything. You don't have to know every character. You don't have to know where every character is going in their arc in the first draft. You don't have to know that. Usually the first draft is where you learn what the story is even about. What I mean by that is at its basic primal structure, what is this story about? what's happening here really at a most basic, almost like a log line. Like, what is this story? In a zombie outbreak, a man struggles to find his family and find and rescue his family, right? That should be the core. You should have a log line written, like the one sentence summary of what your story is about at its basics, right? You don't have to know characters yet. You don't have to know locations yet, what city they're in, what's his last name, where did he grow up. You don't have to know any of that yet. You really just should focus on the core basic understanding of what this story is, so you always have a frame of reference going forward as to what should happen next. So thank you guys so much for watching this video. If that was helpful, leave a like, maybe consider subscribing, and I will be back with you with more content.